Welcome back to the Rebelle Rally. It's day 7. We are coming to you live. We're presented by Toyota. Day 7 is the first of 2-day marathon. We are here at Pirate Cove, banging back and forth with the teams down in Glamis as they're competing for the last piles of checkpoints to end the Rebelle Rally for 2025. Like I said, it's our 10th year. The energy, the emotion, all of the fun stuff coming together here as people just pour everything into this event. It's fantastic. My name is Matthew Johnson. I'm sitting here with Chrissie Beavis, the scoring director for the Rebelle Rally. Our other two hosts are down at Glamis. That's Alyssa Roenigk and Katy Talyancich. And we'll be checking in with them in a little while. To start, Chrissie, I think we have some just highlight coverage from today we'd love to show you. You could see Nina Barlow and Terrell Peter Wright kind of sliding down the side of the hill there. There was Carissa and Trista and their Ranger Raptor. We're back to Terrell and Nina there as they've pit stopped on the top of a dune where they've got a view so they can take a heading and pick another dune to go to.
Yeah, now you're really getting the sense of how big those dunes are out there.
Indeed. And you'll notice they're parked downhill. If you're driving in the sand and it's soft like that, you're going to want to park downhill facing also. Often you'll end up climbing dunes, right, Chrissie, to get a view?
Yeah, to get a view. What it looked like there, though, was that they didn't feel like driving over that last dune to get to a checkpoint, and I did see that on the tracker earlier. A lot of people getting near checkpoints and then doing the hiking the rest of the way to get there, and then that's perfectly legal.
When there's a lot of wind, the sand redistributes itself, and you could be driving on an upper edge that is hard, and then all of a sudden it seems to fall out from under half of your vehicle. And it's not that maybe surprising, but like as soon as that happens, you've got to respond or you'll find yourself getting stuck. Yeah,
the response time in the dunes is very, very important. And what you do when you respond is important.
Definitely.
Like Emily says, you turn down the way water flows. And so if you're up on a higher dune and you start to kind of feel the vehicle slipping out from under you, you need to turn down rather than trying to fight it.
Yeah, definitely just trying to pick out a few of these. There's Rochelle Croft and Taylor Pauley. I think we might be looking at the back of Sedona Blinson and
Bailey
Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it was coming eventually. Here we are as they pull up to a blue checkpoint.
Nice looking truck.
Actually, 132, yes, that is them. That was Bailey and Sedona. As Team 101 cruises by, 127 there is Sabrina Howells and Michelle Kirby. Definitely a fan favorite vehicle.
They're one of the last ones out there. I'll show you guys on the tracker in a little bit.
Okay. Is that Bernard?
Coaching.
Oh, Bernard's having such a great time out there. Bernard's on his Bilstein suspension, one of our partners this year. There's our Team R2D2. That's Rebecca Donahue and Rebecca, I'm going to tell you, Dalsky in their nice BMW. Chrissie, let's have a look at the tracker and what maybe you're seeing on that for us.
Yeah, so like I was saying, Michelle Kirby and Sabrina Howells are some of the last folks out here over here at this green on this side of the dunes. Curious if they're going to be timing out, though, so we'll see that pop up on the scoring here in a few minutes. But most people have made their way back over here to our self-camp location. But if I turn on some of the tracks here, you can actually see some of the fun stuff that has gone on throughout the afternoon. And one thing to note is that as they were coming back, it looks like maybe they were all heading back to self-camp. However, there is 22 and 22X that were down here on the way to what's infamous Oldsmobile Hill down here. And so a lot of people turned off and had time to go grab one or both of these. Obviously, they only get points for the X if they did that. But I'm very curious how many people are going to end up timing out of that last green because they were going for 22 or 22X. You still see a lot of people out there, and we really only have half an hour left for them to be out there. So Very
a half an
curious.
hour gets eaten up in the sand quickly.
Oh, so fast.
And
Yeah,
you can't drive, like, you can't just floorboard it and you'll just crash your truck.
right.
You
You
know,
just
you can't just
even
fly
on
through the
those sand
dunes.
highways.
Yeah.
They're driving along here, and that's what all these tracks are along here, is them driving along the sand highways. And it still takes time. It really takes a lot of time getting back and forth across the dunes. But we do have a lot of people ending up there in the self camp. Where they've got fuel and they check in. And one of the things that they're doing here at the self camp is they are receiving their documents for tomorrow, but they don't get all of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
When do they get the
so
rest of them?
they get the whole CP guide, but they don't get all of the checkpoint information. So this time we have them only getting the end of the day stuff and not the beginning of the day.
Interesting.
So they'll get the beginning of the day tomorrow.
Okay, great. Well, let's have a look at the leaderboard for right now. It should fairly well tell the story of the day, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I've seen so far.
Yeah, I think, though, that Hayden and Smith there won the day. So this is
They
the
did.
overall standings. I think that they did. So as the scoring director, as well as the competition director, I keep a track of all the scores. And I have checked out this one particular checkpoint where the blue pole was missing. So that means that the teams have a whole protocol that they have to follow when there's a blue pole missing, and it meant that 129 there, Nina and Tara Lynn actually ended up getting a wide miss. And I think that might be their first wide miss of the whole event. But because there was a blue pole, they didn't actually quite know where they were. And they signaled at 310 meters from where the blue was supposed to be. And I give them a 300-meter buffer to get that blue when it's missing. And so they were just outside of that buffer. So that's going to be a bummer for them. Right now, it's not looking like it hurts their standings, though. But it did give Carissa and Tristan
Now,
a
when
chance to move
we
up.
see a 0 for someone on a black diamond checkpoint for the score, have they gotten a penalty for a wide miss, or are they just there's a buffer big enough that's like they're close enough to it to get some credit for being near it, but no actual points, but no penalty either?
Right. So here's how I'll describe it: is that a black diamond is like a dartboard, and the 0 is like that cork that's around the dartboard. And the wide miss is when you hit your friend in the shoulder with that dart. So you get a penalty for that. But that 0 buffer is that kind of bigger area out around the dartboard that you get a 0 points. We know that you're trying to go for that black diamond.
Yeah.
But you didn't quite get it.
Gotcha. Oh, you can see it's really beautiful here. It's a bit dead here, to be completely honest. All the energy is down south of us right now. But let's have a look at the leaderboard for X Cross. So as no surprise there, Carrie Lando and Andrea Schaefer still on top by a margin, 150 points or more.
That's a fight for second right
yeah,
there.
and I expected this. I actually thought Kathleen and Jordan in the 211 were going to be a touch closer than they are. I think they probably went for a very reliable day. But boy, 2 points apart.
Well, and it is funny because
exciting.
second and third here, only 2 points apart. So that fight for second is between a driver and her past navigator.
Yeah.
So that's pretty funny that Emmy's navigator, Rebecca Donahue.
Well, yeah, for anyone who doesn't know the history, and that's great if you don't. So Emmy Hall and Rebecca Donahue, both of the drivers of 210 and 205, used to be teammates, and they won this rally in 2018 overall in 4x4, and then in 2019 won the X Cross in a Rolls Royce. So they have quite the history together. They're great friends, and it's fun that they're both driving. And
I bet that's fun for them.
Yeah, and they also, let's be clear, they do not know this. They don't know the score.
No, they don't.
Emmy doesn't like to hear the score anyway, but so they'll find out tomorrow night how close it ended up. That's a lot of fun. And they're in fifth place, number 203, Kimberly Carte and Eva De Los Santos, I was mentioning earlier, I think are near the top for points today in the dunes for X Cross. So that was cool that we really saw them showing up. and they are a team from Iridium.
Awesome. And Alyssa's been down at the final Green CP, right? Are we going to get to hear from her?
Yeah, I think she's got some material for us. Let's hear from Alyssa.
We are at the final checkpoint on Dunes Day, day 7 at the Rebelle Rally. And as you can see, there aren't a lot of teams showing up yet. It's still early in the end of this day. Once teams arrive at the final checkpoint, they'll click here, then they will receive their paperwork for day 8, and then they will head over into the self-camp area. They will set up camp, they will hang out, spend a few hours making dinner, chatting with their competitors, and then they will spend the night, wake up in the morning, and this finish line then becomes the start line of the final day of competition. Now, before the day started, this was a tough day, so we thought that several teams, especially some of those young teams, rookie teams that don't have a lot of experience driving in sand, would maybe call it quits a little early. This checkpoint opens in just a few minutes, and we haven't had teams roll through here yet. Spending time at checkpoint 10 earlier in the day, we saw a lot of the teams, everyone I spoke to, even if they weren't experienced driving in the dunes, what they were saying was that they were finding out they were better drivers than they thought they were. They were better navigators than they thought they were. And it's a lot of fun to compete out here in the Glamis sand dunes. So the reason we aren't seeing teams arrive yet is because they are still out there and they are going to use every minute of this competition to get as many points as they possibly can.
Wow, it's really cool. And it's great. Usually you see folks that are kind of resigned to where they are,
Yeah.
you know, and they're tired. They've been
Yes.
doing this for too many days, and they're just ready to get to camp and relax a bit and get ready for that last day. It's cool to see everyone out there charging, using all of their available time.
I'm really excited about that. I feel like by the way that we set up this marathon this year, we're seeing so many people, like Alyssa said, staying out in the dunes a lot later, a lot longer, and that's really awesome to see because, as you know, that's my favorite place to drive, so I'm really glad that people are getting to experience that.
What would you say about this time of day when we start to have shadows again? Is navigating a little bit easier when you have shadows? I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
it's really
middle of
the
the day, it's
driving.
hard to read the terrain in the middle of the day, but
Mhm.
so how does that change when it starts to get darker with shadows?
So the shadows help for a while, right? So the later afternoon, as the sun starts to set, we get the shadows back and we don't get that kind of sand blindness that we get in the middle of the day. But it doesn't make the navigation any better. It just helps the driving, which then in turn does help the navigator, right? So if the driver can see where they're going, that really definitely helps the navigator with them staying on the heading that they want to be on. But by this time of the evening, the shadows actually start to be more of a problem. So there's kind of this sweet spot that's about an hour long as the sun's setting, and then you start to get past that, and then the shadows start to hide what the sand can look like the same way that the sun hit it in the midday.
Gotcha. Well, let's jump down to Katy. I hear that she has had a nice little run-in with Jimmy Lewis.
It's my lucky day. I'm getting rare sightings from people like Jimmy Lewis, and here you are. Can you give me a quick course update? How do you think these women are doing today?
The course is full of sand, and it's really sandy. And the sand is actually mostly harder than
Normal?
regular sand, but it has additionally some very soft spots.
Is this
It's very
different?
characteristic to sand.
Is it different to last year's sand?
Yes,
It is?
that's the thing about sand, is it's always changing.
Okay. And do you have any recommendations on how to drive in the sand?
Carefully.
Carefully?
Yeah, I like careful.
Okay.
So
Have the girls been careful today?
I actually watched some people be very careful, which I was impressed with, because sometimes that's not the case. But they were in a place they could have done 9 things wrong and 1 thing right, and they did the right thing, and I liked watching that.
So on that note, today's lesson is be careful in the sand.
Yeah, and then get all your checkpoints, and then jump it every once in a while, and whatever works.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy Lewis.
I don't know how many ways Jimmy can tell us he doesn't love being on camera, but we still put him on camera because he's quality. Clearly,
He's got great advice.
he does. The sand is different, and that was a nice compliment. Seriously, he was like, "There's 9 things to do wrong, and I saw the team do the one thing that was to do right."
That's a big compliment coming from Jimmy Lewis.
It really is. I don't know if we give Jimmy enough credibility sometimes. When you watch the Dakar rally on TV, whenever the Dakar is running, the top motorcycle riders from the United States athletes are trained by Jimmy.
Yeah, it's impressive, all the stuff he does. And one of the things about today is that he has been setting all of the blue checkpoints. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of those blue checkpoints were set by Jimmy on his moto going out through the dunes. I think earlier we heard Nina and Tara Lynn talking about, oh, look, isn't that super cool? There's Jimmy's moto track, and
Jimmy's track.
And his footprints, and then our tracks, and that's it. And no one else has been here. And then they commented, well, everyone else is going to follow us in. But for now, it's just Jimmy's tracks and ours, and that's a good feeling.
So a team could follow Nina and Terrellyn's tracks. They cannot follow Jimmy's tracks. He will come over the back of dunes and stuff. He'll go places with his tracks that no one will be able to see, much less follow. Well, thank you for being with us here as we're covering day 7. It's the first of 2 days of the second marathon of this year's event. Our live show is presented by Toyota. I'd love for you to stick around. We'll be right back.
Certain, all I know is I am on my way. When will I be there? I don't know. When will I get there? I ain't certain. All I know is I am on my way. Where am I going? I don't know. What will I get? I ain't equipped to say.
Toyota trucks. Let's go places.
Well, today, day 7 is brought to you by Total Chaos. If you're new to off-roading and new to what you could do with your Toyota, you want to know about Total Chaos. In fact, Chrissy and I bought a 4Runner Toyota because of Nicole telling us that she could take care of us and get us rolling the right way out through the desert. With her team of folks building handcrafted parts in the USA meant to be serviceable and last a lifetime. They love sharing the stoke for the sport of off-road with their customers, and all of the employees are driving customized Toyotas off-road. They have like work days where they're just out driving around in the desert.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like it's a dream place to work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's mega. Anyway, Nicole and her team there at Total Chaos have been huge supporters of this rally since 2016, supporting us with media transportation and planning. Nicole's done 50,000 miles of scouting for different stages and such. So anyway, thank you so much for being around Total Chaos. Let's jump back down to Alyssa and see who else she's got to talk to.
I'm with Sedona Blinson of Wild Grace, the Team 132. And so Sedona, you are one of very few 10-year competitors here at the Rebelle Rally, a 100% Rebelle, as we call the rare unicorn that is a 10-year competitor. So as you've heard Emily Miller say a few times, she designed this day essentially to challenge you, to challenge Rebelles who had too much experience out in the dunes. How did you feel that, how did you live up to that challenge today?
I think, well, I didn't live up to it probably the way she was hoping. I did try to chase the X route today. It's a different way of navigating, and while we all have been out here 10 years, it's different, and we have to take it every day and every little point a little bit differently. So I don't think I quite lived up to her expectations, but I hope we lived up to our team's expectations. So
How did you respond to the challenge, certainly of things like, not having Gecko Road drawn in perfectly on the map, and not having some what you would consider guardrails, handrails for some of the more seasoned competitors out here in Glamis?
Honestly, that part was a little bit easier because I understand the layout of Glamis, so that part wasn't as challenging. We just kind of knew that that's generally where Gecko Road was. We just didn't use it as, like you said, a handrail. The more challenging part was going for the X's in a dead reckoning style. So that's heading distance, which we only do mostly here and in places like Ridgecrest or Johnson Valley.
So throughout the day, which was a really challenging, long day in the dunes here, what was Team 132's real high five moment of the day?
We got to team up with Melissa Clark and Catherine, so that was really fun because she is also 100% Rebelle.
Speak of the devil.
We had so much fun. So we actually got out there pretty deep in the dunes after just really using our brains and getting back in the game. Sometimes you forget how to do this day because we only do it once a year. So once we got back in that moment, that was our biggest high five.
And so if you see over your shoulder, the last thing you had to do once you got here is you got some information for tomorrow morning, but you also had to turn in map 14. Those maps become, like your children. What was it like to have to turn in one of those maps before tomorrow?
I definitely hoard all of my maps, so it's a little bit difficult, except I know that usually that means that there's a good challenge coming, and so we just have to pivot and work with it and adapt. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as we know, Emily has been giving us what she calls plot twists. So there's certainly a plot twist, I imagine, coming for day 8, the final day. And so enjoy tonight, which is the final night in this beautiful camping spot here at the 10th anniversary Rebelle Rally. Thank you, Sedona, so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Really cool. Thanks to Alyssa and Sedona there.
I know, and I definitely, as someone that loves maps, I was sad to see that we were going to be collecting people's maps. I was like, that's going to be really hard for them to give up those maps
I hear that.
because you spend all that time plotting and then using that to get you where you want to go, and then they're like, all right, turn it in.
No map for you.
We're taking it from you. You're like, but you're going to give it back, right? Because I love it.
They talked about teaming up out in the dunes. Can you tell us about how teams team up? What does that just mean? They follow each other around?
Yeah,
what does it mean?
They are allowed to follow each other. So typically, most days of the Rebelle, we don't allow teams to follow each other. We don't recommend it. Obviously, we have different groups that are going to different checkpoints, and sometimes they're very different. So we highly recommend that you don't follow. So they are allowed to team up and follow each other in the dunes. And that really does help because it makes them safer. It keeps them out of trouble. It allows them to, if they do get in a situation that is that they get stuck or in a dangerous situation, then they have someone to help them get pulled out or to at least just help them dig and put some max tracks down.
Totally. And a lot of the times we're in Glamis, it's 100 degrees, and it might be blowing 50 miles an hour like sand. It can get gnarly out there. And so teaming up, we found, obviously, increases the safety, and then your ability to get tugged out if you're stuck or whatever just keeps the program moving along. Some of you have checked out our socials at Rebelle Rally and sent us some questions. We've had a few questions here and there. If you have any more, send them our way. I don't have any on my list right now, but maybe I will in a few minutes. We love interacting with you. We know that we love to know that you're on the other end, checking us out and asking those questions. So regarding competitors, we've got a screen of some competitors here we're going to chat about. We have 134 of them. Obviously, they're in pairs of 2. 16 rookie teams, 90 return Rebelles, 15 original Rebelles. Those are the original ones that we participated in 2016.
Right.
Not 100%. 100% Rebelles are Sedona, Melissa Clark that you just saw, plus Karen Hohen and Dana Saxton, which are the only team that's a 100% team.
100% team, and that is impressive. They are wonderful.
And you can see from cities all over, 32 states and provinces, 4 countries. We've got ages between 22 and 78. Neither of these are a record, actually. We've had younger and older here at the Rebelle. Everyone's invited. The total distance is 2,791 kilometers for this year.
Yeah, and remember, 16 rookie teams, that's not all the rookies. There's lots of rookies that have paired up with seasoned competitors. And so there are definitely a lot more rookies out there than it shows there.
Cool. Well, let's check in with Alyssa.
We're with Team 203, who is standing in front of their third teammate, the Little Dipper. We've got Kimberly Cart, our driver, and Eva De Los Santos, our navigator. And you ladies, at checkpoint 21, you were given coordinates for the next checkpoint for an X. And of all the teams we've talked to, tell me what happened when you went for that X checkpoint.
All right, so that X checkpoint happened to be a blue pole, which is a lot harder to see in the dunes than a blue flag. So we were kind of like in the vicinity, and I'm like, Kim, it's somewhere around here, like I swear. And then we kind of just look in the distance and see a small pole, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
We took our heading and distance, from the road to travel a distance, travel a heading. We're like, we did some weaving and twisting and turning, and it's like, all right, let's just, I don't know, freewheel around in here in the dunes and have a little fun, and maybe we'll spot a pole.
Yeah. And we did, and I ended up hiking up to it because I was like, that's a hard drive.
I drove to her, so she didn't have to hike back.
She did pick me up, yeah.
So of all the teams who have been here at the final checkpoint, you are the first team I've spoken to who found the blue pole. When you said, oh, I know it was just a blue pole, I think every team within earshot of you guys was like, wait, what? You guys found that final X checkpoint? Nice job, ladies. And so now that you're here, what is your strategy for camping? You're here a little early, the sun's still out. What is your strategy for finding a great spot to have dinner?
Oh man. Somewhere where it's flat, hopefully.
Flat, maybe some shade.
So nice because the sun's still up. Our other marathon night, it was dark, and that makes it a lot tougher. So we can actually set up camp and cook something and settle in.
So earlier today when I was talking with both of you at checkpoint 10 at the second green CP, you said you hadn't been here to Glamis, you didn't have a lot of experience driving in the dunes or navigating, and you were really nervous about getting stuck. Then you got stuck and you realized it's not that difficult. So how did the rest of the day go overall once you left checkpoint 10?
Great. It was like I got a feel for the first time I got stuck. I was like, what just happened? Like I just bogged down and sunk in, and it's like, all right. And then the second time was not too tough to get out of, and then it was like I just kind of had a feel for it, and it's such a great car in the sand. We just tested it and drove around, spun around, and
it started to become fun, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And what about the navigation? How did the navigation start to get maybe a little easier, a little more intuitive for you?
I mean, we really just trusted our heading and distance. I feel like yesterday we practiced that a lot on our route. So I think that helped us a lot today when we started. Just trusting heading and distance never lie, according to Emily.
And our known points, we started marking more known points on the map so we could just go from there, the shortest distance, the shortest known point.
Well, it sounds great. Yes, you're right. Emily Miller would be very proud of you two ladies playing the game exactly as she designed it today. Yeah. Thanks so much, and have fun tonight at camp.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Hi, Mom.
Cool. Team 203 there. They are rookies, and like I mentioned earlier, they're already developing their skills.
Yes.
They're finding techniques that work for them.
Well, I love how she said that she got bogged down, and then the next time not quite as much, and then by the end of the day, she got a feel for it. I think she's going to like tomorrow morning, too.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, Katy's been out there in Glamis all day. Let's check in with what Katy's got going on.
So I tried an experiment. I stood on the sand highway. Here's my experiment. I stood on the sand highway to see if someone would stop. Joy coming. Stopped. Hey, Joy, thanks for stopping.
Hi, Katy. Are you okay out here? Because it seems like you just popped up from out of nowhere.
I don't need a ride, but everybody was just driving past and I needed to interview some people. So
here we are.
How are you going?
We're having a great day. Yeah, we're dunes are like always a little tricky for rookies like us because we don't have as much experience, but we did some Rebelle U training, and so we feel pretty good about it.
And you're playing it safe?
play not safe, and we're allowed to team up today. So we've got our friends from Florida over here that we're kind of tag teaming with, which is fun.
Fantastic. That's the name of the game. Teaming up in Glamis. All right, we'll see you soon.
Okay.
They are so much fun. I love having a chat with Joy and Kelly Diane. They're long lost cousins with a really interesting story, but driving a bright orange Toyota Tundra that looks like one of the official entries from a couple years ago, but it's one of their personal vehicles. Chrissy, why don't you lead us through some more checkpoint viewing?
Yeah, I'd love to take you guys through the tracker a little bit more. One of the things that Joy was just talking about there is that she was teaming up, right? So we do see that happening a lot with these different teams throughout the day as you can reverse your tracker and go back there and see who has teamed up. And it is interesting because as they're coming along, you'll see them teaming up together and then breaking apart as well. So just because you teamed up for part of the day doesn't necessarily mean that they will stay with the team the whole time. Sometimes, you know, people want to take a long lunch and another team wants to keep going. We've got these three here. You can definitely see that 188, 199, and 132 were kind of traveling through the dunes together and trying to go and find that blue checkpoint there that was missing earlier. And so this is that one that we had Nina and Teralyn getting a wide miss on, and then they went and found it once they had that information.
I think that may be the one that I saw Susan Piper and Elise Young find. They got a blue checkpoint that no one else seemed to have gotten. It was a little further back in the day. But
No, that was a different one. This one,
okay.
This one was very interesting because of the missing blue protocol. You have to go to where you think it was, and you can signal within a 300-meter radius, which is way out here. Way out.
Oh, that's good to see from this point of view.
Yeah, so 139 right out here is kind of just skirting the 300 meters right here. So if you just get in within here and they signal, then they will get the points for it, and actually 20 more minutes. So if they end up being late on something, that you would see them get those points. But again, you can see all these teams are working together. I also heard from some of our staff that was in the area that when they had this problem here and they had that missing blue checkpoint, some of the more seasoned teams had to tell the rookies what to do, right? So that's in the rule book, and it is outlined pretty clearly, but you can still see that people are bunching up here and helping each other with at least that information about the rule book and letting them know
that was cool. Just then, the way we saw Laura Wanless shoot off to the right first in 188, and then followed by Sedona Blinson and Bailey Campbell, and then by Melissa Clark and Catherine Reinhardt, all like right there together.
They are. So
yeah,
you can definitely see that those three were traveling together and working together. But we've got Rory and Shelby here in the 150, and they came in from a different route. So you can see that those are different methods of getting to that same checkpoint here. And it's kind of fun to watch the tails there of how they're going in and out there. And so we see that Rory and Shelby are just doing it alone, and that's fine as well. But you can also kind of tell that sometimes they've broken off here. Laura Wanless and Penny Dale have broken off in the 188, and these guys back here are still working together. And that is perfectly allowed on this day.
Man, 188 is booking it. Their
yeah,
little
and, well,
notation
they were
is
first off the
moving.
line today as well, and so they are kind of fighting the clock in a way that other teams might not be who started out later on. So you can see that they have realized that they don't want to time out of the green that's up here, and so they are moving along. And this was earlier in the day. This was about 4:20, 4:15, coming up along here, and then they'll signal at the green and kind of move in. And this is when everyone was starting to kind of trickle back there. But like we heard one of those competitors say earlier, that they did not get the coordinates for these two checkpoints here, the two last checkpoints, before they got to the screen. And when they got there, it was actually given to them in decimal degrees rather than degrees and decimal minutes or degrees, minutes, and seconds. And that is a way that we test the teams that need to know how to navigate, that we give them some little tricks like that, and so they don't just get, what we say is lazy, just doing the same thing over and over again, that they actually had to plot with decimal degrees. And,
So is it the
to go
checkpoint
and
you're
get
looking
that.
at, that blue right there?
Yes.
And only one car went over there?
Yes, this one here, and that was that 203 that we talked to earlier. In fact, these are their tracks right here,
Okay.
which we can just see it just because it's pretty fun. You know, they were saying that they went over and they tried to get it, and here they are leaving. Let's speed it up here and see them come in, and they made some interesting choices to just drive around. So they were having a hard time finding it, and this is one of the techniques that you might do to find that blue checkpoint. You
That's
can
a little
see
bit of
they're-
driving around, but look, they drive straight at it. Bam.
Yeah,
right there.
well, you kind of wonder if they just saw it at that point.
Oh, it could be. Sure.
Right. So it's a blue pole, which, like she said, that is hard to see out in the dunes. And then we've got some other people that tried to get it. So I'm curious if these guys actually ended up walking out to it, and we've got other people trying a different method to get here. But these smaller dunes are much, much harder to drive. It's very easy to get your vehicle stuck in small holes there. Even though the big dunes seem scary, these small dunes are very hard to drive in.
It's just the rate of decision making you have to make. On a big dune, you can pick a point and then work on getting your way there. And on the little dune, you're getting new information foot by foot sometimes.
Yes.
And you've got to be responding. It's exhausting. It feels like you're juggling.
It does.
Doesn't it? It's like I'm about to drop one of these 4 things I'm juggling. Any moment, I'm going to be stuck.
Right. It's so easy to just put one wheel wrong in the small dunes, whereas in the big dunes, you kind of have to put your whole vehicle wrong.
Yeah. All right. So this has been really fun, Chrissie, so far. I think we have more from Alyssa down in the field.
We have a finisher. You guys were, in fact, the second team to finish. It's the 195, the Rebel runners of Heather Halsey and Sophia Butsuyo. And Heather, it's been a tough day out there. You were one of the first teams to click here at the green. What was the most challenging part of the day?
Number 11.
What was it about 11?
It was supposed to be a fairly easy one because it's a blue and it had multiple checkpoints or multiple flags in it so that you can kind of pinpoint against it. But it's tucked so far back in the dunes. There were a lot of people trying to go for it. And just no matter what we did, we had it on probably 4 different times trying to go for it. And it just never appeared. So that one really got us.
So how did your third teammate perform today? You ladies work for Toyota.
We work for Toyota. We're with SPAD, Service and Parts Accessory Development. So I'm a accessory planner, and Sophia is one of our engineers that does all things. This is our Trail Hunter. It's a 25 model year 4Runner Trail Hunter, and she did amazing, absolutely amazing. She's perfect for the dunes and all of this. She was built for it.
What did you learn about yourself as a driver today on a really, really challenging dunes day at the Rebelle Rally?
A lot of patience with those dunes. They can really turn you up. So it's just taking a second, looking ahead, getting opportunity to see the more flatter zones and not get stuck, not get overwhelmed when you do get stuck. You know, just kind of fall back on your training.
So you're the second team to come in to the final checkpoint. That means you have your pick of camping spots. What's the secret to picking a great camping spot for a marathon leg?
I don't know, to be honest. More comfortable, I guess, with everybody else. Just whatever is maybe a high point, so we got some good visibility.
Okay, wonderful. Well, congratulations. One more day of competition to go.
All right, thank you so much.
I think they're going to have a really nice night. It's not blowing. It's not hot or cold.
Yeah.
And the first marathon, they really didn't get to hang out and develop that kind of community and the community bond, that sharing snacks and all, telling stories.
Totally.
That kind of
They're
stuff.
in there earlier tonight. You know, the sun was still out when a lot of them got in, and they're going to be able to hang out. And the dunes, when it's not blowing wind, is a really nice place to hang out.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, I know what Alyssa's up to. She's going to be looking for Karen Hohen and Dane and Saxton to go share in their fancy snacks.
That's right.
From us here, following the first half of the second marathon, this is day 7 for 2025 Rebelle Rally. It's our 10th year. We're presented by Toyota, and we've got some cool commercials to show you, so stick around.
Total Chaos suspension systems are built for every adventure and have been durability tested on the toughest trails. Sorry, Matt. With over 25 years of dedicated Toyota experience, Total Chaos suspension systems will give your 24 Tacoma unmatched off-road performance. Handcrafted in the USA, our parts are manufactured for dependability and ride quality. Designed for daily driving in extreme off-road terrain, Total Chaos suspension is built for travel.
All you gotta do, get out on the floor and let yourself go.
The Rebelle Rally is the longest competitive off-road navigation rally in the U.S. It is remote, unique, and extremely challenging. When we launched the Rebelle, we needed a robust, multi-function tracking system to serve as the backbone for course and safety operations. Unique to the Rebelle, it also has to interface directly with our real-time scoring system. The tracker must be reliable, durable, and never fail, combined with superior customer support. We chose Iridium-based YB tracking. It's the best product and the most experienced people. YB tracking has been a critical component of our safety and success since day one.
All right. The goal of this October 2025 auction called Drive on Cat Scholarship is to support teams actively working to compete in the Rebelle Rally for 2026. So we have a support network and donated items that then get auctioned off, like I said, to support privateer teams to come and compete at the Rebelle Rally for 2026. Why don't we hop back onto Chrissie's laptop?
Yeah.
Oh, if the competitors only knew all of the secrets hiding on Chrissie's laptop.
All of the secrets. Yeah, no one gets to see that back end there. Instead, we've got these beautiful results that I'd like to show you guys here and kind of go over what the day looked like right here at the end as everyone's trickling in there at the end. So we have, looks like stage winners of 131. Hayden and Smith. So that is impressive, but only by 1 point over Nina and Terlin, and that is because that wide miss with that blue, that missed blue checkpoint there. And you can see that, and that was checkpoint 15 here, and so there is a lot of people that ended up getting it, and not that many that ended up getting that wide miss. So
if we just look down to third place, Toby Levichka and Carolyn Carlson, like that's like they had a great day, right? But look at the point spread. There's 30 points there.
That is, and
or 20. Sorry, it's 20 points there.
It's just small amounts here and there, and so there's nothing huge, but missing some of these blues here, like we were talking about earlier in the day, that going for all of the blues is really kind of one of those strategies that some of the top teams really know, and the people that you think that they're, you're going to have time to get them, and you just don't have time in the dunes. Like we said, it takes a long time to get around them. One proof of that there is we've got Piper and Young, 128, getting a late signal there at checkpoint 21, as well as Melissa Clark here,
and Catherine Reinhardt, yes.
Catherine Reinhardt in the 199. They were late there, which then invalidated that next checkpoint at 22. So they didn't get points for that 22 because they were late there. You can see that Piper and Young knew that they weren't going to get those next ones, and they knew what they
So we're still waiting on them to check into the final green, though, correct?
That's true. So they will pop up in the standings a little bit. Right now they're sitting there at 163, and as long as they get that final green on time, which we're getting close to being on the edge there. So unless they left right off the
Still just going to put them 9th for the day.
That's true. If they still get that, they might end up being late. But one of the things you guys will notice if you're watching from home is that last checkpoint sometimes takes a while to come in because those trackers, while they work amazing, they have to see the sky. And so a lot of times the teams will signal the tracker right there at the end and then stick it right back in their car without letting those Iridium satellites do their job. And so we will probably get information from 156, I'd imagine, and 128 there. So even though it looks like it's missing right now, we will expect to get that information and see if they're on time or not.
Earlier in the week, we had a day brought to you by Iridium, and we learned that we have 66 satellites in a polar synchronous orbit, 484 miles above the Earth, providing all of this tracking information. And those satellites can talk to each other to pass data between each other to provide global communications.
Yeah, what we know is that it's not the same as the GPS, right? So we've got the global positioning satellites, and that happens immediately with our trackers. So the tracker knows where it is right away, but we rely on those Iridium satellites to send us that information. We don't send that information through the GPS satellites. That's what Iridium's for. Iridium is everything that's keeping us on track for having this live scoring. If we didn't have it, we'd have to wait until they came back at the end of the day and somehow download their information of their GPS signal. So that's what keeps us going.
Cool. So this has been fun hopping through the results. We're looking at X Cross. Let's see what we quick little review
so this
here.
looks like everyone's in there, and right here up at the top we've got 205. Impressive there.
Yes. Downey and Dalsky. Tell me what happened with Emmy Hall and Kendra Miller there in 5th place today. What's that 20-point penalty?
Oh, let's look at that. They've
wide
got
miss.
ended up with 2 wide misses. Oh, that's pretty rough.
Now, do we see that under the checkpoint that they wide missed? Because it's not going to show 0, is it? It's just going to show nothing, right?
Right. Well, there's no checkpoint associated with a wide miss. That's the problem with it. So if they got a wide miss, they were not at one of their checkpoints. And they are the only ones in X-Cross. So you can go back through and look at the tracker and see possibly where they got those wide misses.
All right. Well, it's hard to bring all of this kind of down to the end of day 7 already. I feel like we just hit our stride and like things have just flown by. Each day has been such a big adventure. There's not been really time to relax into it. It's straight chaos up there in Ridgecrest when it was raining on us. The wind when we began up north.
It seems like we were hardly at that first base camp for any time, and we were there for 4 nights.
For 4 nights. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining the Rebelle Rally Live Show presented by Toyota. We're going to be back with you tomorrow morning at 6:45, coming to you from Base Camp 3 here at Pirate Cove, interacting with half of our hosts still down in Glamis. They'll be rushing themselves back up here to be with us, and we have a big show for you tomorrow afternoon. That's where we start to celebrate. It's a 3-hour-long show. The teams are going to come in. You might see some tears. You might see some dancing. You might see all kinds of things, and we're going to do our best to bring it to you. Again, today was brought to you by Total Chaos, and here, us at the live show are here as a result of being presented by Toyota. Come see us in the morning.